All right. Pleasant good morning again, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope everybody got a break, catch your breath, get your coffee, get a snack, whatever. And we are back for the continuing our conversation to this morning. And thank you so much again for having me in your space. We're going to go right into our next topic this morning, and that is an introduction to racism / anti-Black racism, and from awareness to action. We're going to go into that conversation. And before I even put anything on the screen, I want to say to you, I remember during 2020 pandemic, there's a lot of conversation. George Floyd happened, and there was a lot of conversation about who is aware, who is unaware, and where we're going. And because I'm an educator, I was very intentional in creating this presentation. So this presentation has been created years ago. And the intentionality of being aware, many of us, we are unaware. And when you're unaware, you're not as prepared as you should be. You may not be as intentional as you should be. You're not as armed as you should be. Armed as you should be. You are not as on your game. You are not equipped to have the conversation. There are many people say to me, Dr. Campbell, I cannot engage in a conversation because I don't know. I'm unaware. And so I always say to people, be intentional about how you will become aware. We see right now what's going on in the Gaza region. Many of us, we are absolutely unaware. We are unaware. We don't know. You get your awareness from a tweet, from a Facebook post, from social media, from CNN, from CP24. Is that enough? Is that enough for you to be aware? And I want to be the one to say to you, it is not enough. And so we need to be a little bit more intentional with our awareness. What does that mean? I want to really talk. What does that mean? DR.ABC, do I need to be going to do a course? Do I need to sign up for my master's, my bachelor's? And people ask me those questions. And I would say to them, tell me how you are learning and unlearning. How are you watching YouTube? How are you reading books? How are you watching documentaries? How are you listening and Googling? How are you investing in your awareness? Because I'm going to tell you the honest truth. This 1 hour session, none of you are going to leave here being an expert in anything. None of you are going to leave here today being an expert. The idea, don't worry, I'm not your organization, but I can tell you, I have been to places where people want a 1 hour talk, everybody's off camera doing their thing, and then they want to profess that they are aware. You are not. You wasn't even engaging properly. And so I want to be very clear that this is going to take more than today. But what is good is that you are intentional in the conversation. I look at the MSN Family Service and Youth, I see a room full of people who are in from what I call a level of readiness. You are sitting there, you may have your coffee or your snack, you have your peers, you are going to be engaging in the conversation. And when I'm done, and you get this recording, I'm speaking to you, Westwood, I'm speaking to you, MSN family. Take the time out. A month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, you don't need to rush it to say, let's go back to that video where Dr. Campbell talked. Let us unpack, let us talk some more about some of the things Dr. Campbell raised. If I show you how I use these videos in staff meetings and with my students, you'd be surprised. I let them watch the video and I let them write and discuss in groups about the 3 points that really resonated with them. So there are many things you can do, Carla and Sheena and Blossom and Westwood and MNS, to how to continue the learning. Okay? So what I want to share with you as we begin is this first diagram. I love it. I can send Sheena a copy of it so she can share with everyone. I will make sure I do that. For you to look at, and some of you are taking pictures. Take pictures of any of my slides. Go ahead. How do we become truly anti-racist? Here we go again with the growth and the learning. I would never call on any one of you to say, well, you know, you should be an expert in anti-racism and you are Black, so you should do, and you are this. No, no, no. We are all at different places of learning and growing. How do we become truly anti-racist? Many of us are in the fear zone. That's the honest truth. You are here today, you're in the fear zone. You're not so comfortable with the conversation. You know, some people denying that there's racism in Canada. Like people love to say, you know, the Black people, the slave, you know, escaped from America and they came to Canada. So yay, the Underground Railroad, yay, we saved these people. And we refuse to acknowledge Canada's own history of racism and slavery and their own history and white supremacist act in Canada as we speak today. We like to talk about Martin Luther King. Oh, I have a dream. But nobody wants to say he was assassinated. We like to boast about Viola Desmond on our money. But nobody wants to tell a story of what happened to Viola. We like to talk about the Underground Railroad and talk about how people escape and, you know, and Sojourner Douglas. But we don't want to tell that this woman was being hunted, wanted dead or alive, a bounty on her head. So I want us to understand these are the courageous conversations that we have to have. But I rather we sit in the learning zone. It's okay to be in the learning zone. You want to educate yourself on the racial bias and racial histories and systematic racism. And I hope you understand that my job, I would never come into a space and to say to anybody, well, I'm here to talk about you being racist. That's foolishness. That's not what I'm here for. Not to point on anyone. I want us to understand we are talking about systematic racism. The systems we are part of. Myself working for a white institution that is built on many issues of systematic racism. That's where I get my salary from. So I have another workshop that I talk about how do we disrupt racism from within? How do you speak up when you are a part of a system that you see doing things? It's a journey. It is a journey. But I want us to be intentional about our growth. And so as we have this conversation today, I like to use this as an opening, part of my opening. When I put this and we kind of go like, well, you know, well, I need another vowel. No, ma'am. No, sir. No, people. No, person. You don't need another vowel. You know exactly what this means. Are we sitting in a space of denial? Well, there's no racism in my department. I haven't actually heard people say that. Can I tell you something? I taught years ago, I taught a course in the Caribbean, in the University of the West Indies. And I did a pre and a post quiz with my student. One of the questions I asked was, at the beginning was, have you ever felt discriminated against? And only about 15% of the students says yes. I smiled. When the course was finished and they understood exactly what discrimination looked like, and I asked the question at the end of 12 weeks, have you ever felt discriminated against? We had about 90% or more. There are so many people who do not know what racism looked like in their presence, including racialized folks. Let me go there. So I've heard persons say, well, I've never, ever felt whatever. Because you do not know what it looks like. You live in it and you breathe it. You microaggression comes at you every day and you couldn't pick out this microaggression. You just think your coworker is making a joke. No, they're not making a joke. It's microaggression. You just think, well, maybe it's not your opportunity. Yes, it was your opportunity. It was a racist policy that denied you the upward mobility that you deserve. It was a racist panel that decided that you would not get the promotion. I'm going there this morning. So I want you to understand how we are destroyed. Because you know what happened? There are many things that are happening in our organization, and it's happening under the surface. What we see on the surface caught by cell phone. I always get emotional when I see these things caught on camera. And you know them, caught on camera. And I go, imagine the many things that were not caught on camera. Just a little bit. So I want you to think about all the acts of racism that happens beneath the surface. I remember going for a job. I'm going to share this one. Working for an institution where I taught the top level courses, top level courses, the top in the program. And there was an open for a full-time professor at this particular institution. And I was shortlisted, walked in the room, and I was being interviewed by 5 white women who are all peers and friends, come from the same experience. I'm sure they come from the same kind of cul-de-sac, because that's their world. And this is a black man on the other side of the interview. I don't know if you understand the many issues under the surface in that dynamics alone. In that dynamics alone. 5 white women interviewed, 1 black, tall, gorgeous black man with a strong Jamaican accent. I want you to understand, talk about not the right fit. HR, come on, HR people, talking about not the right fit. I was the best in that program. And I said on record, unapologetically. And no, not every job I applied for, I am the best and I should get it. That one, yes. And I'm going to tell you what happened. I did not get the job. Of course, they chose their friend who was nowhere in my category and qualification. And then somebody called me from HR. This was the first I'm telling the story because I'm ready to share that story. So this was the first time in my life someone called me from HR to give me feedback, and I stopped them on the phone. Oh, you wasn't ready for this. I said, thank you. But I said, I don't want your feedback. They were shocked. Because what you did was to not choose me, who is the most qualified, the right person who have been teaching in the program for years, the top level courses. And then you were going to put someone in HR to give me feedback that was going to drain me of my dignity, drain me of my energy, drain me of my worth. And I stopped them and I said, thank you, but no thank you. Have a great day. And I hung up the phone. I say this on video. I say this on recording. That was when I resisted you robbing me of the job. You're not going to rob me of my power, my energy, my self-esteem, my affirmation, and my dignity. Hashtag Black Joy. And so I want you to understand how important it is for us to name these things, see them in our organization, speaking up about them. But because of time, I won't get into this conversation because we're doing a speaker series. I want to make sure I give you what I have because there's going to be another activity I want you to do. So I'm skipping this activity because I want you to do the next one. And so as you are there in your groups, by yourself, in your office, I want you to take a minute just to think, how does racism, anti-Black racism, above the surface, below the surface, under the surface, beside the surface, how does this impact my community? Think about that. How does it impact my community? Think about who is included. Think about who is selected. Think about who is on the panel. I tell HR people, the days of having 5 people on a panel that look the same, those days are out. And if you're doing it in your organization, fix it. Oh, you don't like this workshop? Well, you can delete it. You can come off camera. You can go out the room. You can go to the restroom. You're going to have to pay me my money. The days of we doing those things are over, because we are the same one talking about representation matters. We are the same one talking about inclusion. We are the same one talking about where are the children. We are the same one talking about missing and murdered Indigenous women. We are the same one talking about land back. We are the same one saying go search the landfill. We are the same one saying Black woman, we hear you. We are the same one saying Black mothers, we hear you. We are the same one saying what happened to our Black youth. We are the same one saying when it's time for us to be intentional about our actions, we are the ones who are walking away weak and lacking moral courage. You check all my videos. This is how I speak. You want a different kind of voice, you call a different kind of person. This is how I speak. I want us to understand that racism has destroyed and denied and kill and snatch dreams among us on a regular basis. Someone has to stop that. Someone has to stop that. Someone has to stand up and say, this is not right. And let me just say this right now so you understand what I mean. When I say, and I want to make sure I say it so you see me face to face, when I call on you to disrupt and dismantle, I'm going to tell you something very, very important. Because a lot of people feel like when I say disrupt, dismantle, racism, anti-Black racism, Islamophobia, all this kind of stuff, I think people feel like we need you to go outside and march. We need you to tie yourself to the building so nobody can get in the workplace. We need you to go to the lunchroom and flip the table like the housewives of New Jersey. We need you to go downtown and lie down in the middle of Dundas Square and let no traffic pass. Just so you know, I have done all of that. You know, I'm not flipping the table, but I've done the marching and the protest and the sit-in. That's only one way. Hello? That's only one way. There are many ways to disrupt. Somebody write that down for me and keep it on your notepad, on your wall. Put it on a sticky note. Put it on a sticky note somewhere, please. Put it on your Facebook today. Put it on your Instagram and your LinkedIn. Put it on a sticky note, take a picture and put it up, and then tag me in it. Tag me in it. There are many ways to disrupt. Many ways to disrupt racism. Many ways to disrupt. Some of you can disrupt by the gifts and the talents you have. Some of you disrupt, like in education, by writing books, by creating more poems, by providing more opportunities, by volunteering on boards, by giving your money to Black-led and racialized and marginalized organizations. By volunteering, there are so many ways for you to show up and disrupt racism. It doesn't always mean protest, throw yourself on the ground, flip the table, tie yourself to the building, chain yourself to something. It doesn't always need that. So I want you to not walk away thinking Dr. ABC wants you to go out there and protest. Dr. ABC wants you to use your power, your gifts, your ability, your talents, your treasures to say, how do I use this that I have to disrupt? Maybe you're a songwriter. Let us write more songs about this. Nina Simone, many writers and songwriters did it. Maybe you are going to be one of those next children writers that write storybooks where racialized kids see themselves. There's a book I love called The Biggest Blue. It's all about teaching little kids, little girls about the hijab, and you see the biggest blue, and then now we have the biggest red. There was a time when we had so much it still have so much anti-Asian racism. And so many Asian kids at school are scared of their lunch, scared of shame of their lunch. And there's this book I use in my workshop that says, don't yuck my yum. We're educating kids to respect each other, about their identity, their culture, their customs. How are we disrupting? How are we becoming aware? And so I want to leave that with you. Systematic racism. What is systematic racism? This is coming from Ontario's 3-year strategy long ago. I still don't, Dr. Campbell, well, you could use a new one. I know I could use a new one. I work at a university. I love this one. I want to keep this one. And I do it intentionally for many people to realize the conversation is not new. Systematic racism occurs when an institution or a set of institutions, right? We have it here. Working together creates or maintains racial inequity. Sometimes you are not the one that create the racial inequity, but you are the one maintaining the racial inequity. Take a note of that. How am I contributing to racial inequity? How am I maintaining racial inequity? And this can be unintentional and doesn't necessarily mean that people within an organization are racist. But when you are aware of this, what do? We talk about anti-Black racism, racial prejudice, stereotyping, and discrimination, which is directed towards people of African descent, which is rooted in their unique history and experience of enslavement. And of course, as we said, it's manifested in a lack of opportunities. There's a people that talk about, oh, well, you can pull yourself up to the bootstrap. That is garbage. Some people don't even have boots, much less bootstraps. How are you going to pull yourself up? That's a narrative that was going all about the place. And people are selling resilience. I don't sell resilience. I sell access and inclusion. If we created more access and inclusion, people don't have to be so resilient, fighting day and night to be seen, to be heard, to get their opportunity, to get their chance. But the term anti-Black racism is not new. The Stephen Lewis report talks about that from 1992. You can Google Stephen Lewis report. It's a few pages, a powerful piece of document. I want you to think about that. And so what we're going to do, we're going to pause the recording and we're going to do the activity I want us to do today. We're going to listen to 3 video clips. We're going to listen to 3 video clips. Many of you know this one, the Starbucks incident. Many of you also know about the Starbucks incident. Many of you know about this one, but I'm going to talk about the teamwork, team win, team belonging. We're going to ask some questions here. We're going to ask some questions here. We're going to go into the next video. Also, we're going to have 3 video clips, and we're going to see this racism against Aboriginal people in the healthcare system and the study talking about it being pervasive. Now, here is your assignment when we get back from the breakout room, because we're not recording in the breakout room, of course, you know that. When we go from these videos, I'm going to leave you in your rooms to talk and some going to the breakout rooms. And here are the questions I want you to think about. Not just the Starbucks incident, but all the incidents. What did you see? What do you think happened? Could this have happened to you? Could this have happened to me? Why not? But also, what did you feel watching this? Were you aware that this can happen, this is happening? Have you ever experienced, those are some other questions. Have you ever experienced, have you ever been privy to see an incident of racism? Do you know how to name it? Or do you think that people are just not happy? They are just speaking their mind. They are just, upset. Are you willing to name it? And I want you to listen to each video as we get into this conversation and we wrap up. So I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pause our recording. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm sure there was some good discussions in your room, and the discussions are not going to be complete today. So don't ever feel like you must say something, or whatever you're saying needs to be completed today. It's not. It's a long discussion, and it's a continuous journey. What is our role as an organization? What is our role as leaders? What is our role? Our role is to be aware, and our role is to take that awareness, and find out how will we use it to bring change to our organizations. In this first video, and you can get the links of the video online, I can send them to you. I can drop them in the box in a minute. I can send to Sheena. I'm happy to do that for you to watch more. But in the first video, something stood out to me. And that was the woman in that video that said, I saw everything. We need more of us to speak up. We need more of us to be accountable. We need more of us to break the silence. We need more of us to pull our friends aside and says, girl, you can't say that. Or friend, no, you shouldn't say that. I don't like that. Or that word, you maybe shouldn't be using that word. That is it. That is it. I want more of us to do that. The next one, I want us to think as we talk about how we create spaces of belonging. This person is on a team. And this was what happened. For me, my most curious question, everybody get ready for this. My most curious wondering is, what were the conversation in the locker room after the game? Who said to Jonathan DR.ABC, what did they say to him? Who called him to make sure he was okay? Who checked on him afterwards? Who went to find the guy who was doing the foolishness and being racist, to check him? Not check on him, but to check him, to say, what the hell are you doing? To call him out and say, what is happening? Which one of his friends said to him, I'm not going to any game with you if this is the kind of shit you're doing? Which one of his friends said that to him? Which one of his friends let him know you were wrong? Oh, I am recording. Which one of your friends said to him, I am so pissed, I'm not going for no drink afterwards? Who is doing that among us? Who is standing up? Who is speaking up? Who is calling out even your friends? Because let me tell you something. When people say to me about the work in anti-Black racism, I said to people, I don't need Black people, I need white people to call on their white friends to say, you need to do that. I need people who see racist act, racialized people, to say to their own racialized folks, you can't say that. When they are using racial slurs in the school boards, I am getting a lot of complaints about racialized kids using racial slurs to each other. Which one of these parents are saying to their children, their own Black kids, their own racialized kids, you cannot go to school and say that? You should never be using that word. Never. Black folks need to be speaking to Black folks to say, I see what's happening. I see some form of internalized racism. I see you trying to be a token. I see you trying to do the most over here. Catch yourself. As they would say in the Bahamas, catch yourself. We need to make sure we are speaking up and speaking. And like I said, I'm going to repeat it. You can do this in many ways. It doesn't need your sharp voice like mine. It doesn't need a shout. It doesn't need a slam door. It doesn't need a turnover table. Do not walk away saying Dr. Campbell demanded all of us to do all of this to show we are anti-racist. Absolutely not. What Dr. Campbell requires if you remember, is this. Moving from the fear zone, moving into the learning zone, and moving into the growth zone. And in the growth zone, it says, I sit with my discomfort. In the growth zone, it says, I promote and advocate for policies and leaders that are anti-racist. In the growth zone, it says, I yield positions of power to those otherwise marginalized. I could tell you tons of amazing stories. I always say to people, I have white friends. I like to say to people, I have white friends. And my white friends know I'm Black. Oops. Oh. My white friends know I'm Black. My white friends treat me with the respect that they know I deserve, plus extra. How do you know that, Dr. ABC? Because I watch the way I am engaged with my friends. I don't go to anybody's if I'm the afterthought. I don't do afterthought. You can't make me your afterthought or your last resort. I watch the ways, I'm invited. The friends that I have that are non-Black, I have been invited to their weddings, to their celebration, to their christening, to their cottage, to their home, to their dinners. I know I belong in that space with those friends. I know I'm not tokenized. So you have to know these things and be a part of the growth and the change. There are many things you can do. I surround myself with others who look and think differently from me. It's in the growth stage. Some of you like to call yourself global citizen. You are not a global citizen. Everybody you know lives on your cul-de-sac. You are not a global citizen. All your friends look like you, and you never have nobody else. You don't talk to nobody else. You go nowhere. Nobody else. You try nothing else food. You go nowhere else. And no, you are not global. You are very local. As a matter of fact, you are cul-de-sacan. That's a new word I just came up with. You can't Google it. That's my new word. You're not even local. You're cul-de-sacan. All you know is the people in your cul-de-sac, or your avenue, or your lane, or your crescent. Globalization, global citizen, you're open. You're open to changes. You want to taste it. You may not like it, but you're curious about what it tastes like. You want to hear from people. You want to take actions. What are those actions, Dr. ABC? You want to have a better understanding of yourself. You want to engage in understanding others. You want to engage in learning and unlearning. You want to engage in courageous conversations. You create, you're part of the committee. You sign yourself up on the committee. You're creating and remediating policies and practices. I told a bunch of white teachers the other day, they loved it. I said, you know what you should do? Make sure you put your name on the Black History Month celebration at your school. They all looked at me. I said, oh yeah. I said, when you finish with this workshop, go put your name on the Black History Month celebration. You are going to be the change that your school needs. You are going to be the teacher who helped to plan the best, most sensitive, most aware Black History Month celebration. Because for years, you are doing some garbage and some crap. Call it Black History Month celebration. You are making all kind of mistake, making the news. You could bet watch CP24 next year, February, and you are going to see some garbage on CP24 that some teacher, some principal, some person did to celebrate Black History Month. It always comes on the TV. Watch it. You set your TV, what they call it, set it to record. What it says DVR, I don't even know what that means. You set it. You set your DVR. You set your recording. Somebody gonna do some foolishness, but you and I won't. Why? Because you and I are intentional about learning and unlearning. You and I are asking the Black people how you want to celebrate. You and I are not going to deficit thinking and go to the slave ship and the Pinta and the Santa Maria as you think about Black History Month. You are not always in deficit. You are the person who's intentional about bringing Black excellence in the room every time you see it. You are the one who are intentional about diversifying your team. Some of you don't even need a Black History Month celebration because you celebrate Blackness all the time. I'm not talking to the Black people. I'm talking to the people who are non-Black. right? So I want you to be intentional, and your leadership needs to be bold and have that moral courage. Awareness of ourselves, awareness of others. Be aware how inequities and injustice show up. I'm a teacher. I work at the University of Toronto. I am so aware. I am learning so much awareness about how racism, anti-Black racism, social inequities, injustices, how it shows up in a university master's degree program. I can tell you, I can write down stuff to show you how it shows up. I am aware. I work there. I am aware. Don't tell me you are not aware. Ask yourself, how are these injustices, inequities showing up in my organization, in my department? And what will I do to make sure we break it down? We have a more equitable, inclusive, loving, caring environment for others. I haven't used this slide in a while because I kind of feel like we all get it by now. Only to wake up all the time and look on the news and realize, okay, we still all don't get it. We still don't get it. Sometimes I feel like, really, I'm wasting a whole slide, one whole slide, because I have to remind people that you cannot keep saying, I don't see color. Years ago, I know people used to say like, oh my God, I love my friends. I don't see color. I get it. You weren't racist. You were trying to say you are inclusive, but we're telling you, we have said it a million times, you need to see color. You need to see difference. You have to see difference, because seeing the difference is so beautiful. It's so dynamic. Difference is something we celebrate. Imagine if we were all the same. Can you imagine if everybody was like Dr. ABC? Can you imagine if everybody has my mouth? Everybody has my height, my energy. So if you'd be, the world would be exhausted if everybody had my energy. I taught the truth. I taught you, listen. If everybody had my energy, we'd be like, this is National Exhaustion Day. Because Dr. Campbell have a piece of energy, and if we all have the same energy, you'd be exhausted. We don't have enough fabric, because I like clothes. We'd have sold out in fabric. Every store sold out in fabric because Dr. Campbell wanted to make a new suit. We all can be the same. We have to celebrate difference, and we have to do it in a way that says to people, I see you. The other day I went to a conference at the University of Toronto, and it was a lot of racialized folks. If you go to these university conferences, they always giving you a salad and a wrap. Always give you a sandwich, a wrap, and a salad. You know, I don't want people to feel like I'm against a wrap and a salad, but I'm begging you, if you invite me somewhere, do not give me a salad, a wrap, and a sandwich. I swear, please do. Don't give me anything. I'm done. This event, they had Ghanaian jollof rice. I had to go back for more. I go back and beg some more. At a conference in downtown Toronto with 800 people, they serve jollof rice. They serve fried plantain. They serve Indian curry chicken. They serve some, listen. I'm going back next year just for the food. I'm going back next year just for the food. They saw the people. A lot of vegetarian option. They saw the people. They saw who was there, and they catered for them. We're back again to this slide. You can't get rid of this slide. This slide is important. I'm going to send Sheena a copy of it on PDF so everybody has a copy. How are we moving from fear to learning to the growth? The journey from racism to anti-racism has to happen on many levels. Individual, institutional, like what you're doing right now, community, organization, you all sitting together learning. I love looking at the pictures of you all sitting together learning. To be anti-racist, the easiest place to start is with personal action. We are called to act, even when we are uncertain, afraid, not fully informed, and uncomfortable. Consider and reflect on this. That shows how anti-racist progresses from fear to learning to growth. The key here is taking personal action. The key here is taking personal action. To be anti-racist, the easiest place to start is with personal action. What will I do to grow, to learn, to unlearn? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to stop right here. When we come back for our third part today, we're going to talk about twist LGBTQI+. We have I have a surprise for you. We have a special guest who's going to join me in the presentation to share her story. We're going to lean into the conversation. We're going to see what's going on outside with what's going on. And we're going to lean into the conversation some more. So take your break, everybody. Take your break, catch your breath, grab a snack, grab your whatever you need to grab, refill your coffee, go get a sandwich. Oh, a sandwich. Go get your lunch. Not the sandwich, right?